It is often said in our day that human beings are simply just another animal, an animal perhaps more self-aware, more rational, or simply more conscious than the other animals. However, this idea that the human is simply an animal that in some ways is more than the other animals simply does not hold up to reality. It is not that humanity is quantitatively different, but qualitatively different. It is not that we are more than the other animals, but that we are something different altogether. For a person to say that we are just another animal is to destroy language. For a person to say that humanity is similar to the animals and therefore we are animals would be similar to saying that a plant is the same as an animal, but that the animal is simply more than the plant in various attributes. To do so would be to destroy the integrity of a plant and an animal and to make them a great glob of stew, which might as well not be distinguished because really they are the same thing in different forms. But this is exactly what is being done to the most important of creatures, mankind. We are losing what it means to be human by exemplifying and exalting our similarities to the animal kingdom. For a man to truly hold that humanity is simply another animal, he must amplify the similarities between the two. He must say, well, a man, like an animal, is animated, sexually reproduces, has an instinct for survival, desires to carry on its genes to the next generation, such things of the like matter. This man would be exalting the similarities of man and animal. But to do so is silly and against the common use of language. For similarities can be found in almost anything. A brown wall may be the same color as a brown man, but to amplify the similarities so as to make them of the same type is to destroy the way language and definition works. This would be as silly as stressing the commonalities between a plant and an animal so as to confound the two. Do not plants reproduce and spread their genes? Do they not need water and sunlight to survive? Do they not come to life and eventually die? Then, according to the same usage of language, animals are merely just plants that walk around. However, definition has always stressed the differences in things. How would you define a circle? You would put it in the category of shapes and then define what it is in comparison to a square. For instance, it is round. A square is not. Definition is always more than the dictionary definition. There must always be a compare or a contrast. Would it not destroy the definition of a square to say it was merely a circle that had four corners? Do we not destroy humanity by saying we are just animals that have thumbs and bigger brains? It would appear to me that if someone is to truly understand what a human is, he should stress not the similarities between an animal and human, but he should stress the distinctions. It is within these differences where the answer lies. It is the differences which must be accounted for. Perhaps animals have certain emotions triggered by their brain and hormones which cause them some type of emotion which we would associate with love. But why do they not write sonnets? Why do they not take vows? Why do they not write Romeo and Juliet? Because they do not have thumbs? Because they have smaller brains? These are not answers. They are speculative observations which ignores obvious differences, which point to a different type of being altogether. To say that man is another animal is a modern mythology that attempts to explain why man is the way he is without dealing with the reality of what man is. A nobler scientist would say that man is not like the animals in many ways. And these ways are so broad, so diverse, that man appears not to be an animal, but something else, a man. A man worships, makes sacrifices, takes vows, writes poems, explores the unknown, builds memorials, wanders at life, weeps, laughs, shouts, fights, marries, paints, imagines. It is a man that does what no other animal does. He goes against his genes and against his common sense, if must be, in order to obey or to conform to higher values than both. It is man that dies for his God, for his country, for a stranger. It is man that prays for his enemies, that forgives his enemies, that gives his goods to starving children in a far land that he will never visit. It is man that destroys the land. It is man that cares for the land. It is man that weeps for other animals, even if it means nothing to his own survival. It is man that builds the pyramids. It is man that builds the Gothic cathedrals, that builds New York City. It is man that attempts to destroy New York City. It is man that writes and conducts and plays Handel's Messiah. This is man at his best and worst. This is man. This is not an illusion, nor does this ignore reality. It is the modern mythology. These modern myth believers who believe that all of this is unnatural to man, and that man really would and should be different than what he has been and what he is. It is these myth makers who would have us to believe that the reason man has been what he has been is because he has been coerced to believe in religion, or to believe in nationalism, or in diversity between the sexes. These myth makers want us to believe that these notions which took man captive for so long must be done away with in order for man to finally be man. But they forget that it is these very things which man made. These things are natural to man. These things distinguish man. However, they are right in one very important area. And in this one area, they could have learned from Christians a long time ago. Man is not what he is supposed to be. But it is not because man should be an animal, or because man should think himself a god, but it is because man should be truly man. All the things that man has been throughout civilization does represent what man is when he is disconnected from God and from his original purpose. He was made to worship, to build, to create, to take vows, to laugh, to be loyal, to be committed, to enjoy creation. But man has perverted these things to make them ends unto themselves and to make them appease his own appetites. It is man at his best when we see true man shining through. The zeal man has, or was to have, I should say, the zeal man was to have for his God, turned into the zeal he had for himself. And from this came greed and lust and slavery and war. These modern myth makers are right to understand that something is wrong with man, but it is not that he is wrong because he is being man. They would say he is. They would say he is wrong for being man, and instead he should be more like an animal in his actions and like a god in his mind state. No. The reason man is not what he is supposed to be is because he is fallen man. Man fallen from his God. Man fallen from his original purpose. Man is not wrong to be man, and thus he needs to be more like an animal or a god. He is wrong precisely because he has been a man who acts like an animal or a god. He is wrong because he has not been man under God.